Douglas County Sheriff's Office is turning to a highly produced narrative-style video to present its version of events for the morning that Deputy Zachary Parrish was shot and killed. The 8-minute video features Sheriff Tony Spurlock saluting the heroism of his officers, praising Parrish's Christian faith, and making the claim for the first time that the officers' actions followed their training exactly. What the public relations video does not do is answer outstanding questions about what happened early the morning of December 31st in Highlands Ranch. That's why we filed an open records request for the unedited body camera footage that's used in that edited video. Not because we have any intention of broadcasting the violent portions, but because that unedited video would let us see and hear what exactly caused deputies to go in after the shooter. He is edited out of the sheriff's video completely. The sheriff's narrative provides images of much we already knew had happened. The deputies responded to a domestic disturbance. They realized the man involved had obvious mental health issues, and they attempted to take him in on a mental health hold. According to the sheriff's own timeline, we do not see or hear what was said in the next 22 minutes. In particular, we don't see why deputies, rather than a tactical team, went in after that man who was clearly agitated, was believed to be armed with multiple weapons, and was well known as extremely hostile to law enforcement. We intend to ask the sheriff about that when we sit down with him tomorrow for a scheduled interview. We'll let you know what he says and whether they'll release the unedited videos that were used in their video production. Attention fans of democracy. Today is the deadline to register with a major party or you're going to get caucus blocked. Here's politics guy Brandon Rittiman.
Colorado voted to change our caucus and primary system after a couple of awkward moments in 2016. The Democratic caucuses were a disaster, overrun with people who wanted to weigh in on Sanders versus Clinton. Sanders ended up taking it. The Republican caucuses, by contrast, were a snooze fest. The state party decided not to name a winner for Colorado that night, instead waiting for the state GOP convention. Ted Cruz won that, though his interview didn't age well.
This election is not about a New York celebrity tweeting and the media giving him billions of free coverage, and that's not how you get elected.
Right. So anyway, Colorado voters decided to go back to a presidential primary and to open our primary elections to independent voters. So that is going to be new in this year's primary in June. But our major parties will still caucus this year on March 6th. Why? It's one of the ways a candidate can get their name onto the primary ballot. But only registered Democrats and Republicans get to caucus. You've got to be registered with the party you want to caucus with by tonight's deadline at 11:59 and 59 seconds. For Next, I'm Brandon Rittiman.
You can still register. You can change your registration details online. You can also do it via text message. The links and all the info you need to do this are in Brandon's article on 9news.com, and that's where you will find this. It's Brandon's cheat sheet for the election year. So it's key races, it's dates to know. It is complete nerd stuff. But we are very pro-nerd around here. So let's get ready to legislate. 2018 session of the state capitol starts Wednesday. Republicans laid out their priorities today. Senate President Kevin Grantham says top of his list is using extra revenue for transportation.
We have the opportunity. Let's use the money. Let's commit it, not just for this year, but let's commit it for ongoing years. And let's bond it, and let's put a dent in the $9 billion backlog of CDOT projects. Let's at least take care of the Tier 1 list. And let's fix I-25 north. Let's fix the gap. Let's fix I-70 Mountain Corridor. And let's take care of some of our rural roads and highways as well while we're at it.
We are told the Democratic Speaker of the House, Crisanta Duran, is not planning a similar Grantham-style media briefing, but we are hopeful she'll still join us here before the start of the session. All right, let's play a little word association. I say Girl Scouts. You think substantive legislative policy proposals that would impact Coloradans. No? You're thinking cookies, weren't you? Yeah. Well, Marshall Zellinger found they're chewing over something more substantial.
Girl Scout Troop 60789.
The majority of people who showed up to this September Aurora City Council meeting dressed up as empty seats. Heck, even 9 News wasn't there. but these 5 Girl Scouts were.
We are working on our Silver Award project, and tonight we would like to propose some future ordinance for not smoking in a car with a minor present.
Meet McKenna, Amelia, Michaela, Juliana, and Sophia. I actually got to meet 4 of them today. Sorry, Juliana, you were already back in school.
We thought it was a hazard for minors to experience their guardians smoking.
It didn't take much for me to catch that telltale sign of a window cracked down or smoke billowing out. In an effort to earn a Silver Award, which is given to middle school age scouts who work on a project to benefit the community, smoking with a minor in the car could get you ticketed in Aurora.
It will help minors
be more healthy.
Yeah, and to not suffer from secondhand smoke, and it's just better for the environment.
While these scouts are trying to change Aurora law, 8 states have already enacted some form of it.
It'd be cool. Yeah. If we could get it to the state, but
yeah.
It's a big accomplishment if we could just get it as the city as well. Yeah.
It's been one of the most gratifying experiences of my service on City Council.
City Councilman Charlie Richardson helped the girls work on the ordinance, which is on the agenda for discussion tonight.
I'm going to challenge my colleagues to vote against the Girl Scouts. I hope they think twice.
Here's some more on what the Scouts propose. If you're seen smoking with someone younger than 18, you can be pulled over. But you can't even be pulled over for not wearing your seatbelt without doing something else like speeding. So Councilman Richardson tells me tonight they're probably going to reduce it to a secondary offense, that you have to do something else, and if they catch you doing that. The girls, however, want a $150 fine and no less than 48 hours community service.
So as for this Gold Star, the Silver Award or whatever, do they still get it even if it doesn't pass?
I hope no. They told me it's just the effort and the knowledge of going through the process should be enough.
Sure.
But don't tell City Council that.
It's just like real Congress. All right. Thank you, Marshall. Workers finally got about taking down Sports Authority field signs from Mile High. And, of course, it's taken a lot longer than expected. So Noel Brennan out there today did a lot of spectating.
There's just so much history here.
After a rough season,
It's been heartbreaking.
it feels good to reminisce
So I definitely enjoy football history.
with a student of the game.
My history professor, because I'm a history major, let me write my senior sem paper on the AFL-NFL merger.
Alex Insco can deliver a presentation on his favorite Bronco.
Tripucka was the first 18 to have his number retired. Without Morton, we might have never turned the corner here in Denver. I'm going to say Mingo, though. First ever African-American place kicker in professional football.
There will be names added to Broncos history long after this one is removed.
And I was going to take some pictures of the sign coming down, because obviously it'll never be there anymore.
It'll take a week to take down all the Sports Authority signs.
And it's just kind of embarrassing having a company up there that's been out of business.
No one knows which name will go up.
Whichever company puts their name right up there, they're going to go out of business, so you might as well just leave it Mile High Stadium.
History has had a knack of repeating itself.
They should have never named it Invesco. They should have never named it Sports Authority. It's Mile High Stadium.
Some names will always belong to Broncos history.
Exactly. These men are a lot more important than that.
No matter the one stamped on a stadium. For Next, I'm Noel Brennan.
I know that Alex speaks for a lot of you with the Mile High stuff. We've explained here why the Denver Metropolitan Football Stadium District is not about to let it be called just Mile High Stadium, or even a fan favorite like Bowlin Field. They desperately want and need that corporate partner to pay the bills.
A Coloradan makes it to the last of 7 summits with a message about perseverance. The reason they're using horses instead of a John Deere in northwest Colorado. And a drill suddenly pops up in Centennial and neighbors think, "Aw, frack." Next.
Chris Bombardier did it. He made it to the top of the last of the 7 summits. He's thought to be the first person with severe hemophilia to ever do that. We've been following Chris together here on Next ever since we met him before Everest. And over the weekend, he summited Mount Vincent in Antarctica. We are still waiting on photos of this accomplishment because apparently cell phone service in Antarctica is really terrible, like downtown for the Rockies home opener terrible cell phone service. But this is the Facebook post that Chris and a friend put up before they started the final climb, saying, quote, "No longer can anyone say that a person with hemophilia is limited, that they can't achieve the impossible without proper treatment, training, and medical care." Chris and his team are currently stuck at base camp because of bad weather, but they hope to be back in Colorado by January 14th. The most Colorado thing we saw today comes to us from up in Steamboat. Percher on horses pulling a sled. This is on a ranch belonging to Matt and Christy Belton. The couple, along with a ranch hand named Kendall, spent the weekend feeding hay to livestock along the Elk River. They say that they use horsepower to feed their animals in winter because it's a lot more reliable than a tractor when it gets this cold.
Storm system is wreaking havoc across California, and it is headed our way. Right now, we're looking at heavy rain and even some snow across parts of California. Flash flood warnings and advisories have been issued. This system travels across the Rockies and will move into Colorado Tuesday night through Thursday. Means a couple of things. Heavy snow for our mountains, so that picture up in Steamboat will be changing. And it looks like we'll see a little bit of rain and possibly some snow here in Denver. Winter storm watches are in effect Tuesday night through Thursday morning for our northern, central, and southern mountains west of Vail Pass. There, 8 to 16 inches of snow will be possible. Some isolated areas could see up to 2 feet. In Denver, it looks like mostly rain. But if the storm system shifts, we could see upwards of 2 inches of snow here in the city, but right now I think it's closer to 0. You get out to our foothills and to our west over the Continental Divide, and there 2 to 6 inches of snow will fall. Partly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows will drop to about 36 degrees. Then come tomorrow, thanks to gusty winds in our foothills, we'll reach a high of 66. 52 early Wednesday, and then Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday night, that rain and snow arrives to the Front Range. Will clear out Thursday with highs back in the 40s.
Becky, thank you. Our next question comes from folks in Centennial near Arapahoe Road and Colorado Boulevard who wonder what the frack is going on behind Olinger Chapel Hill Mortuary and Cemetery. It is not fracking. People think everything is fracking. This is not fracking. This is an irrigation well that's being replaced. They're digging to replace a well that was put in the 1950s. The thing that's making noise is this drilling process, and we're told that it's almost done. The cemetery thinks if they get this new irrigation well in, they will be good to keep the grass green there for another 60 to 70 years.
Sweet, shirtless Vladimir Putin on a horse. The company from Colorado finding that while Russians don't love the West, they do love all things Western. $1 million renovation for the home of a woman with some fine taste. And your interest in a discovery at my old house got us thinking about preserving smaller pieces of Colorado history. Next.
Yeah, I was tweeting. What's it to you? Next is discovered a business in Colorado that's in cahoots with Russians, which of course is completely acceptable if your business isn't trying to get elected American president. This company in Golden makes saddles and such. Perhaps it's Vladimir Putin's rugged and shirtless horsemanship, but Western-style stuff is getting big in Russia these days. Our Byron Reed brings us the words and pictures.
I'm making some lariats.
At the Colorado Saddlery in Golden.
Tie a crown knot on both ends.
Creating a long bonding relationship started decades ago.
We have customers that have been customers of ours for the last 75 years, and we anticipate their grandkids will be customers of ours somewhere down the road.
This probably dates back to the early 1960s.
They make custom saddles, and their roots in downtown Denver date back to 1945.
With the years of experience that we have, we know what it takes to build a saddle that's comfortable.
That hard work has paid off. The company is now expanding and adding more jobs with the help from an unlikely place.
Russia has become one of our greatest customers.
One of the many countries around the world,
South America, Germany, Sweden,
looking to Colorado for a little help.
The Russian ranching industry is growing, and they've heard about our quality saddles and reached out to us maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
The company says the Russians are very interested in Western horsemanship, even if the two countries don't see eye to eye.
They've been fantastic to work with. They have collaborated with us to develop specific saddles that meet their needs.
Crafting leather here that's lasted for decades.
Our saddles are heavy duty, long lasting.
And creating new bonds reaching across the world.
We're happy they did, and we hope that it's a long-term relationship.
I'm proud of what we put out. I'm proud of the fact that there's people all over the world riding Colorado saddlery saddles.
For Next, I'm Byron Reed.
Anyone who has ever remodeled a house can appreciate what the Molly Brown House Museum is going through right now. A $1 million restoration for that home built in 1889. Today, the stained glass window in the entry staircase was removed. Watkins Stained Glass will restore it over the next month or two and then place this piece of Denver history back where it belongs. We should mention the museum is still open during restoration. I'm blown away by the more than 1,000 of you on social media over the weekend who are interested in this dusty find from my old house. We're doing a little sprucing up project as well and uncovered this hand-painted mural on a plaster wall. It appears to be original to our house when it was built in the French eclectic style back in the late 1930s. Trying to figure out what we can do with it. It's just a small reminder that history does not only exist in shared spaces where it's preserved by tax dollars or nonprofits. Tucked into every corner of Colorado are reminders of the people who were here before us. Always be looking for those fingerprints. For those of us lucky enough to find them on our own property, well then we become the keepers and the protectors of that history. I'm not about to sit here and tell you what to do with your property, but I would ask you to always be on the lookout for the small bits of history that are easy to wipe away in the pursuit of something shiny and new. We return with gestures big and small to honor fallen Deputy Zach Parrish and support his family. And one of your questions about the questions we're asking about that case. Next. If you want to feel great tomorrow, there is one sure way I know it can happen. If you can chip in and help veterans from Colorado get to Washington to see the memorials to their service and sacrifice. We here at 9 News are raising money for the Rocky Mountain Honor Flight tomorrow from 6 in the morning to 7 in the evening. Each of these trips from Denver to Washington costs about $60,000 for a plane full of vets, but those veterans do not pay a dime. You donate online now or by phone tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll remind you. Douglas County Deputy Zach Parrish was laid to rest on Friday. As that service was happening, an 8-year-old in Aurora was honoring the deputy in his own way. After Avon learned about the funeral and what had happened, he used his own police car to put together a little tribute, made a sign for the front of the car, dressed up. People in the neighborhood stopped to take pictures with him and to talk, and we understand that a few people even donated to the fund for the Parrish family after seeing Avon's tribute. And like that, this next story is not about a police officer who's in trouble or a teacher caught cheating, nurse stealing drugs. Nope, this next story is about a public servant doing the right thing like 99% of them do every day and never make the news for it. As we like to tell you here, they are the good ones, and they're almost all good ones. First responders in Denver, as well as airport employees, held a hockey tournament today to benefit Deputy Parrish's family. This is on that new rink they've thrown in at DIA. First round, DPD versus Denver Fire. Then Denver paramedics versus airport employees. Final round, airport employees versus Denver Fire. DIA won it all on their home ice. But of course, there's only so much competition. They were there to support Deputy Parrish's wife and his 2 young daughters. That tournament raised $6,837 in 2 hours. It goes to the Fallen Officer Fund for Deputy Parrish's family. Your feedback tonight is actually on that same story and what we talked about at the beginning of this newscast. Hayes writes in and says, Kyle, I have to say you are not my favorite person. You and me both, Hayes. But then they continue. But I'm very proud that you're trying to get the real information on Zachary Parrish's death. That's my question. Why was he in the apartment? There are people specifically trained to do that job. Thank you for your efforts. Important to say, we do not know at this point whether or not everything went as it should that morning. But we are going to keep asking questions. We expect that we'll get forthright answers, and we will share them with you. See you next time.